Welcome to another Cup of Joe. I'm your host, Joe Tumalo, CEO of Plan Giving. What is it? PG Partner, Plan Giving. Getting old, Brian. Bryan Clontz, back again. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Pleasure. So hopefully many of you have watched the first Cup of Joe we did together. If you have not, please check that out. Some great stories and incredibly helpful ideas and what him and his team do so well. So, Brian, we are recording this in 2025. Not too much going on. Same business as usual, right? Anything related to the work you're doing that can be affected one way or the other with the changes in stuff that's going on in the economy, the tax laws? Is there that much? Does it affect your business one way or the other? Or the way that our clients would deal with you folks?
Yeah, it's a great question. We're getting it a lot too. So we don't know how all this is going to play out, to be sure. But I would say, at least initially, for the work that we do, to be very clear, I mean, if you're getting a lot of government grants, that can be a real problem. So I want to be very sensitive to how I sort of answer this too. But for the higher end major outright donors, life income donors, I don't think there's going to be much change at all. There'll definitely be some noise around the edges, sort of both ways, if you will, that I think will kind of mush to cancel each other out in some ways. For example, if people see that their favorite charity is having heavy, governmental cutbacks, as an example, on grants, then like, okay, that's bad. But there may be, and again, this is theoretical, donors saying, okay, then we need to step up more to make sure this good work is being done. And maybe it's like, and I can only step up a little bit, but now I can get, maybe encourage my friends to understand why I'm so passionate about this particular issue and this charity and the impact that they have. So now what would have been, as in your, what you do every day, maybe a real negative. I'm not saying it's a super positive. I don't want to sugarcoat that. But, if you were to tell me, do you want to get $1 million as a government grant that is as fickle as it can possibly get in the best of times? Or do you want to have one of your donors who is giving you $100,000 all of a sudden starts giving you $200,000 as an individual donor, and then she has 4 friends that all pitch in 200,000 each, and now you're getting the million again? I think most fundraisers would say, let me ride the horses of the individuals, not ride the horses of the, sort of government grants and reporting and all that kind of stuff. I'm being, I'm glossing over a lot of issues. My point in all of this is we are seeing and having conversations daily. And it's a very small group. I'll just be super blunt. It's the top 1% of the 1%. I mean, I'm just letting you know. Again, the average donation that we get is $4.5 million. That's the average outright gift each day on non-cash side. So the point is, you're not doing that unless you probably have minimum $50 million net worth, minimum. We've received, I think this year we'll receive at least 2 gifts, roughly 200 million plus, at least, from individuals. So again, this is a very different perspective, like times 50, than what most charities are dealing with. Having said all of that, in statistics, it's called observation error, where you keep hearing like the same thing from a super small group and you think that's sort of happening everywhere. So I know that it's not. But the conversations we're having of the Elon Musk, is he still living, I think, in a $50,000 portable house? You've got Mark Zuckerberg, I think until not that long ago, was still driving the Prius. Obviously, you've got Warren Buffett, you get that. There is a wave of thinking where money is not, I'm saying extra for the people that we talk to, is not the goal. The goal is, how can we earn the money and have sort of societal impact? Bill Gates spent a ton of money on his house and other things, don't get me wrong, but probably 98% of what he's what he has sort of accumulated during life is going back through the Gates Foundation and making grants,
Wow.
maybe 97%, I don't know. Because when you have, 120 billion and okay, I'm spending a ton. Well, yeah, you spend a billion, where's the 119 billion going? So again, these are different levels, I'm well aware. But we're seeing and hearing every day about entrepreneurs building businesses in their, let's say, 40 to 60, and they're saying, look, I'm selling my business for 100 million. I want to bank 10 million of that for myself, 15, 20 million. And all the rest I want to go to charity anyway.
Hmm.
That has dramatically increased in the last 8 to 10 years.
Really?
Dramatically. Yeah,
That's
like
a
off
big
the
point.
chart. And
Really?
so I think that there are a lot of things around the edges, which was my original point, that may reduce some giving. We're seeing that fewer and fewer givers each year that are giving more each year. And so this is like a super extreme version of that. It doesn't take too many $100 billion gifts to move the average of the whole country up, like materially, frankly. But we're sort of seeing that from our perch every single day. And so I think that's a wonderful story to tell, that people that with the most wealth that we're seeing, observation error, are giving. And when I say a lot away, I mean, again, like Elon Musk, you don't need to live in a $50,000, prefab home in the middle of Texas.
Does he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's a boxable home, and he had, like, as you probably know, he had three or four, 15, $20 million sort of houses all across Silicon Valley. And I don't know what it was, 3, 4 years ago. He's like, okay, I'm selling all of those. I don't need any of this, all the upkeep, all this stuff. That I don't know why I bought all these houses. And I think at one point, I think it still is down to a $50,000 2 bedroom, 1 bath, literally like portable home, that boxable makes.
Huh.
So yeah, and obviously, the Warren Buffett stuff, but the point is that the super, super conspicuous consumption that we still see, don't get me wrong, but I think there's this movement at the super high end away from that, and much more to, I've created this real estate empire. I've created a lot of wealth through crypto. We're seeing this in a huge way in crypto, huge way. I've created this wealth through my private business. I'm now cashing out of my private business. And now I'm thinking, do I really want to give each one of my kids, $30 million each? Some families do that. I don't want to get personal and political here. I think they can do whatever they want. Like if you've built that up and that's something that you think is important and a value to you, that's your call. But it is striking how many are going the other way of saying, I'm just making numbers up, 10 million for each kid, probably good. And the Warren Buffett quote, you should give your kids so much that
I
they
was
can do
just going to say,
anything.
I'm sorry to
Exactly.
interrupt you.
Not so much that they
Sorry.
can do nothing.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Can you repeat that, please? I was going to say.
Sure. Well, there are two great quotes around this. So it's Warren Buffett saying that you should give your kids so much that they can do anything, but not so much that they can do nothing. He's got 9 million great quotes. And T. Boone Pickens, we lost not that long ago, said, he goes, I never want to put my child in the situation where he or she doesn't have the pleasure of bringing home a paycheck. And you say that to, in particular, sort of these hyper serial entrepreneurs, that resonates. I mean, that they really they feel that viscerally, to
Mhm.
make sure, how are we going to make sure the kids are good? But I don't need $100 million. Why would I give my kid $100 million? 5 million, 10 million, I'm sort of relaying general conversations here, but any excess of that, I want to go to charity. So I think there's some great stories and super sort of macro themes in that particular space that I don't hear people talking about much.
Hmm.
Um, but that's what we're seeing every single day, are these big life exits of an asset or the business. And some of the amounts that people are putting in, I'm dealing with one right now. The guy's going to put in, I think it's 90%, 95% of his entire business. And it's it'd be potentially a $500 million donation, potentially.
Wow.
And his thing is like, he goes, I don't need any of that. I'm totally fine now. Why do I want to pay all the tax on that, accumulate some massive amount to give to kids? Like, I'm seriously, it's like, I think I'd ruin the kids if I did that.
And what's his phone number, Brian?
Exactly, that's right. Maybe every charity we call them that. But that's not a, I mean, I'm not saying we hear that every day, but we probably hear that every other day.
Amazing.
Yeah, and not the, 100%, but it's, a much larger percentage than we were seeing 10, 15, 20 years ago. Much, much larger.
Interesting. Could it
So
be a generational
I think it
millennial?
is. I think
Okay.
it is. I think it's sort of an anti-materialism kind of role. Let's also be super, super blunt. Some of these people that are creating these businesses that this guy may be selling his business for, just his piece for $500 million. Just the businesses themselves are, these unicorny kind of things are selling for more than anybody could ever fathom anyway.
Hmm.
So in some ways, which is a huge societal issue, the wealthy get wealthier at the extreme, that's happening. But at least those that we are seeing, there are others who aren't doing this, but that we are sort of seeing, they're not giving away, hey, I'll give, 5% or I'll tithe 10%, of this. It's more like, look, I'm doing it the other way, where I'm not coming in and saying, oh, I tithe 10%, whatever that is, and I'm keeping the other 400, and 50 million. It's like, what? Let me think about how much do I need? If everything goes crazy, am I okay? How much do I want to give for each kid? Okay. All right, that's it. So it's almost an inverse way of thinking about how much to give. And so now it's not the tithing at 10%. It's like I only need 10%. And all that excess I'll have go, to charity as an example. And I'm going to take my 10% and create another business. And now I don't even need anything for that, which is exactly what happened with this guy. And now if I have another big win, I'm giving 100% of that charity.
Amazing.
If I lose, I lose. I go to set up another business. I'll give 100% of that to charity. And we're really seeing that a lot. So
Hmm.
there are other cracks to charitable sector. I get it, and I'm not downplaying any of that. But in talking with peers, like, oh my gosh, our giving's down, this down, that down. Like our giving is like going up 20% a year. And it's a pretty small number. We got 280 donations last year. That's a pretty small number.
Well,
But the donations are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the number, the 250 goes to 300, 300 goes to 350. Little 50, increments are not that big. But when the assets that they're giving are really big, it becomes sort of an outsized response. So there's good stories and good news sort of within that too, irrespective of the what's going on with government and the tax stuff.
now when we think of planned giving, we think, well, I do, generally people 65 and over. However, when you're dealing with these more complex assets, I have to think that age is not as much of a
No,
factor.
no,
Is that
yeah.
correct?
And what's so interesting about plan giving, I love plan giving. I lived in plan giving my whole life. We talked all about that. I love it, love it, love it. This may or may not be surprising to you. So of the 280 donors, these are outright gifts. These are outright gifts. These are major gifts. So these are not life income gifts, estate gifts. Of the 280, each time they create a donor advised fund, I even included in there because I thought we were missing massive opportunities. Would you like any component of this to be a current or future life income gift for you? We didn't even talk about gift annuities or charitable mandate trust. It's like, hey, you're giving away 500 million. Do you want any of this income and coming back? And at least for this group, very, very high end, they're like, oh my God, the last thing I want is more income. I'm trying to get rid of the income.
Hmm.
And so of 280 of those particular non-cash assets, maybe 5 to 10, maybe also included some kind of life income or estate gift.
Hmm.
All the rest were like, no, 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 I want to just give this now. I want to give the whole thing now. And so again, it's a different sort of strata of the market, but and still, gifts through wills, gifts through retirement plans, all that kind of stuff. But sort of at this sort of $10 million plus net worth, level, I've just been refreshed because I thought, oh, they're going to do all life income gifts, or they're going to kind of continue to sort of build it up, and then just give through their estates. For those who are calling us, back to observation error, it's like, I'm having a big windfall. I want to keep 6% of this windfall, take the chips off the table, and all the rest of that I want to go to these charities.
How inspiring.
It,
So
to
how
me,
about the
it's
age?
unbelievable.
How about the age, though?
I would
The
say
age.
45 to 60 would probably be the most common, sort of in that
Interesting.
range. Obviously, the 45, generally the tech side, obviously more the sort of, Silicon Valley-esque sort of side. But a lot of these too are real estate donors who had sort of purchased a a duplex, and they rolled the duplex tax-free exchange, roll that into a quadruplex, and then they rolled that into a 12 unit, and they rolled it, and now they're 78, and they're going, look, we've got all the income that we want, we're all good, we don't want to pay the tax on this, and we really are charitably inclined. And so you have this sort of maybe 70 to 80 or so is a really big group for these kind of serial real estate investors that are saying, we're kind of done with real estate now. We don't want to do the property management anymore. And we want to take a big chunk or all of it and just go ahead and give this to charity. So it's kind of but I would say generally, maybe that 55 to 65, 50 to 60 is probably what we normally see. So it's a much younger cohort than you'd normally see with the life income side.
Helpful, inspiring, fascinating as always. Thank you. Let's do a quick plug for the awesome work you and your team do, please.
Sure. Well, I just say Charitable Solutions. You can go on the website, certainly give me a call. Perhaps most importantly, we have, I think it's now almost 60 free webinars around a lot of these types of topics that are all available now on our YouTube channel. And but the bottom line is, if you have a good donor, good asset wanting to do good things, don't say no. We can move very, very quickly to help capture the gift. And then again, we manage nothing once it's liquid. So as soon as there's that liquidity, then we're making the grant right back to you. And sometimes other charities. We had a case a couple of weeks ago where the donor said, I love you, charity, but I also love 3 other charities. You provide, let's say, gift annuities in this example. And will you do this for the 3 other charities? We're like, no, we're not going to do it for 3 other charities. We'll do it for us. And so that charity was great. They said, wait a minute, maybe you can call National Gift Annuity Foundation. They'll do the 1 gift annuity, and then they'll break it up the 4 different ways. And like, that's all we do anyway. So that'll work perfectly. So there you go.
Sorry, the way you phrase that, I want to make sure I understand it.
Yeah.
You'll do 1, you're doing, let's say 3. I'm a donor. I want to do a gift annuity for 3, my favorite charities.
Yep.
You would do 3 separate.
1 gift annuity, and then the beneficiary designation would just be proportional for those different charities. So you could do, we'll pick on the 3. We'll just say 300,000 to keep the math simple. So Joe, you could say, hey, I've got these 3 charities that I love, love, love. 1 offers gift annuities, or none of them do. Or maybe the one that does offer gift annuities doesn't offer them in New York. We could create all kind of permutations here. But you would just do 1 Joe Tumalo gift annuity for 300,000. And then in our contract for your gift annuity itself, you would say 33% to charity A, 33% to charity B, 33% to charity C. And that also sometimes can help in cases where our minimum is $20,000 for a gift annuity. And some donors would say, well, I don't want to give 20,000 to 1. I'd like to give, 15,000 to 3, back to 3. Well, okay, you just do 1 for 45,000 with us. That's 1 gift annuity. And then at the end, we'll just split that third, whatever the remainder is at the end. So we're able to sort of aggregate. Again, we're all back to aggregation. And then that way, none of the charities are doing any of the compliance and the 1099s and the reporting. We're doing all of that, managing the asset, managing the liability, and then 100% of whatever's left over at the end. Again, we'll keep the math simple. Let's say it's $30,000 is left over. Then we send $10,000 check within 30 days to the 3 different charities, and that's it.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people don't? I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah. Well, some of the charities that we work with are like, oh my God, I'm glad you guys do that, because very few other charities will do 1 gift annuity and then bifurcate it. If they want to give it to 7 different charities, like, okay, we'll give it to 7 different charities. And of course, none of those charities need to have a gift annuity program. Literally all they're getting is a grant of $10,000 cash that comes over to them. And that could be for a specific purpose, scholarship fund A, or for unrestricted or operating reasons too. Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Anytime, Joe. Thanks for hosting me, and thanks for everything.
Thanks, Bryan.